2, 1. Standby talent in 3, 2, 1. Cue talent.
This is Gary Efthemis at Edwards Air Force Base in California for the landing of Shuttle Discovery.
Steeper than that of a standard commercial airliner's descent. Discovery now banking to the right as it begins final turn to line with the runway. Wings angled 50 degrees.
At the 180.
And we are here at Edwards Air Force Base in California due to bad weather in Florida that prevented the landing
with 180 degrees left to go, and it's turned to line with runway 22.
This is the 31st mission of the Space Shuttle Discovery, named after the British ships in the late 1700s.
22,000 feet.
Some notable feats for the Discovery Space Shuttle. It launched the Hubble Space Telescope and carried John Glenn for the second time into space, who was 77. He was the oldest person into space, and he was aboard Discovery.
Eileen Collins montage in 10 seconds.
Eileen Collins, the first women commander. This is her 4th trip into space. She was born in Elmira, New York. She was first a U.S. Air Force colonel, married, has 2 children, and they are certainly hoping for her safe return, as we all are, and the entire crew of 7. Pilot Jim Kelly, mission specialist Soji Noguchi, Stephen Robinson, Andy Thomas, Wendy Lawrence, and Charlie Camarda, all on the flight.
From the heads-up display for pilot Jim Kelly. A live view out the forward windows.
This mission coming just 29 months after the Columbia disaster.
Discovery rolling on to align with the runway. Altitude 7,000 feet.
Re-entry, the most important part of the space flight, must enter the atmosphere between 28 and 38 degrees to avoid the heat buildup. Before they enter the atmosphere, the space shuttle is actually upside down before it enters the atmosphere, and they have to use some thrusters to make themselves aligned correctly. And once they successfully enter through the atmosphere, it is much like an airplane descent. The autopilot takes over, and then about 2 miles out, the commander takes back over and pilots it down onto the runway. And it is approaching the runway now. Landing gear is down. And we have a successful landing. Discovery is back on U.S. soil. A successful space landing. Parachute about to be deployed to finally slow it down.
Drag chute deploy.
And we welcome back the crew of 7 from the Space Shuttle Discovery on its 31st mission.
And Discovery is home.
This mission, STS-114, was the return to flight. They were testing safety improvements and resupplying the International Space Station. The flight launched on July 26th and, as you can see now, has returned on August 9th after a period of 13 days. And almost immediately after landing, a crew will come out to make sure that everything is all right with the space shuttle, make the necessary repairs and maintenance, and the crew will be allowed to return back home. The space shuttle will be brought back to Florida on a modified Boeing 747.
A truly spectacular test flight. Stevie Ray, Suichi, Andy, Vegas, Charlie, Wendy.
15 seconds.
Welcome home, friends.
Welcome home, indeed.
10 seconds to close.
This concludes the Fox News Channel coverage of the landing of the Space Shuttle Discovery.
4,
More news later
3,
on the Fox
2,
News Channel.
1, roll close.
This is a Fox News special report.